So I am putting this video out, but again, this is just more for me to process through my thinking than it is for anything else. Okay? So I'm starting. Excuse me, I've got a mess. I'm starting this video out with the Demiurge. If you don't know who the Demiurge is Satan. But Satan posed himself as God. So there are two different gods we know of. You just may not be aware of that. We know of the God of the Old Testament, and the God of the Old Testament is the Demiurge. He's the demon, he's the poser, he's the one that snuck in the back door and nobody was looking and called himself a god. Okay? Then we have the New Testament God, which is Yeshua God. That is the true source creator, that is the benevolent, that is the good, that is the righteous, that is the just. Okay? On that note, I'm going to keep going. At every civilization in the heaven realm, which is where source creator, the monad, the perfect creation, God lives, he starts each generation with an Adam, who is a representation of an angel. Yes, we all look like angels. We are all, in the flesh, made after angels. Not God, we are not Yahweh even. We're made after angels. I found that in scripture tonight. Yeshua God uses an energy called Adamus, whereas the Demiurge, in an inverted state, uses an energy called Adam Katamon. Okay? Everything that God does, the Demiurge inverts. And I've learned this, and it's been a lifesaver in my research, an absolute lifesaver. I have been able to figure out more, understanding the simple context that for whatever there is that exists in heaven, there exists the inversion of that on our realm. And by proxy, the same thing. If it exists in our realm, then by proxy, there's a positive version of that in heaven. And that construct, that knowledge, has really been a lifesaver in saving me so much time and understanding how these two are relating to each other. But anyway, I digress. So, Yeshua God, he wakes people up, starting with the civilization of Adamus, okay? But Yahweh, when he created our realm, he used Adam Katamon. But Adam Katamon didn't have the divine spark because the Demiurge didn't have the divine spark. What is the divine spark? Well, the divine spark is the thing that lets us talk to God. It's the thing that gives us a connection to God. And when Adam Katamon was born, Adam Katamon didn't have it. And so he couldn't talk to God. And that's what the Demiurge wanted. He wanted them cut off from heaven, from God, because he was using them for food. And he didn't want God to be able to tell them what they were doing. So he didn't want God to be able to tell them the truth and wake them up and say, hey, yo, this dude is using you for food, and why don't you rebel and not let him do that to you? He didn't want that, so he cut them off. They didn't have the divine spark. God didn't like that. He doesn't like people being treated unfairly and unjustly. So he sends in Lucifer. Follow me, follow me, follow me. God sends in Lucifer to Adam and Eve to try to wake them up. Clearly we know the story. At least we know part of it. I'm not sure it's entirely true. I need to research this more. But Lucifer does try to wake up Eve and Adam. And ultimately, they are partially awakened, but they don't have full gnosis. Meaning they understand that something's wrong, but they don't understand entirely how they connect to the spirit realm, or that there even is a spirit realm. So what happens? Yahweh has to flip the script. And he has to attack Lucifer as if Lucifer was the one that was doing all of this and bad. Lucifer was an angel sent by God to warn them and wake them up. Lucifer was doing what Lucifer was told to do. But Yahweh had to flip the script on him. So Lucifer was in a positive energy, a positive, benevolent energy when he tried to warn us about what the Demiurge was doing. The Demiurge, in trying to keep people unawakened and cut off, like I said, he flipped the script on Lucifer, and he made it out like it was a snake and it was a betrayal. But unfortunately for him, now Adam and Eve are partially awake, which is way more than he wants. And so he kicks them out of Eden, shames them, tells them it's their fault, blah, blah, blah. And now he puts them to work. Why? Because if you're too busy to work, then you don't have time to think and ask questions and challenge and rebel. And that's what he didn't want. He wanted food. He wanted his energetic food. So what did he do? He put them to work. He kicked them out of Eden and told them that it was their own fault. He shamed them into accepting a system of control. He kept them focused on toil and labor so that they were too distracted to seek gnosis, to seek enlightenment. So God realizes it's not working. It's not worked. It's what he did in trying to wake them up and just tell them the truth. It didn't work. So at this point in time, Sophia intervenes, and they give Adam's son Seth the divine spark. And Seth can connect to the divine realm. Seth is now known as Seth the Incorruptible. It is my assertion that Seth is the first incarnation of Jesus Christ. It is this point in time that I believe was Yeshua and Sophia's first attempt to bring gnosis to humanity. I believe that God sought out two star travelers who have a history of bringing civilizations to, they have the habit of ascending them, helping them to evolve. And he reached out to them and asked them to intervene. So Yeshua and Sophia Christ incarnated, and Yeshua incarnated as Seth. That is my assertion only. That is my assertion. Over the course of time, if you notice biblically, people began to evolve and seek gnosis and ask, what was Yahweh doing? So when they began to question Yahweh, what was it he did? What does Yahweh do every time somebody starts to question him? He wipes them out. And we introduced the flood, don't we? And he gave a whole bunch of bull BS reasons why. The actual Sumerian version actually states that he did it because he was taking it out on humanity. We know the biblical version, the Noah version, does not state that. He did it because he was wiping out humanity. He did not like that they were actually transcending and evolving. And here's something else too. I know there's not a whole lot of concrete proof that Atlantis existed, but Atlantis was another example of a civilization that reached gnosis and was transcending, and that he had to silence and wipe off the map. So at this point in time, when Yeshua and Sophia Christ come in and he wipes them all out with the flood, and he thinks he's taken that pneumatic divine spark out of humanity, he thinks it's all gone and that everybody that's bred again is going to be just a human. He thinks he's taken away all the divine connection. So now we have to fast forward a few years, and we're at the breaking point where Jesus Christ was brought into humanity. We're breaking from polytheism and we're now going into monotheism. This is hugely important. And again, this is now the second appearance of the extraterrestrial beings, Yeshua and Sophia Christ, who this time incarnate as Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. Sophia reincarnated as Magdalene. She is a high priestess of the Syrian Council. She was not a prostitute, though Yahweh changed the narrative to discredit her entirely. Yeshua Christ reincarnated as Jesus Christ. Yahweh has two pneumatics on earth who can connect with the divine realm, and that is something he can't have. He can't have that. He can't have that. That is his food source. And transcend the plane. And we can actually teach others to transcend the plane at this point in time too. So he can't have that. He can't have these two here. So he used the religious leaders to mount a campaign against Jesus Christ and his teachings. He then had the religious leaders use the Roman politicians and the governments to actually extract the execution and crucifixion of Jesus Christ, thinking that ultimately, if they did that it would take out his teachings and everything would go away. It did not. When he crucified Jesus Christ, Yahweh again thought he won, but the teachings spread. And it wasn't enough to just eradicate Jesus Christ. At that point in time, he chose to eradicate Gnosticism entirely. He made it heretical. He made it a crime. And he sees, at this point in time, he sees what's happened with Sophia and Yeshua coming in and enlightening people. And he can't have that going forward. He sees a hole in the matrix of the construct that he's built. And he can't have that going forward. So how does he handle that? How? by shaming people, by making them afraid to seek gnosis, to seek enlightenment, to seek knowledge. Think about the Bible as an example. How many people, if you told them you were challenging the words of the Bible, would look at you with an open mouth? How dare you? Who are you? That is a construct. That is designed that way. It is intended to make you feel like you were bad, shameful, wrong for challenging things that you were told are true. I say told because if you have sought the information for yourself, then you know it. That is very different from somebody who tells you a thing is true. So, by making people afraid of seeking the truth, the concept of seeking enlightenment is made a joke, and knowledge, seeking knowledge, is made heretical and sinful. That's how he combats Jesus Christ ever coming back again. At this point in time, he's not done. He's not done. He forms the Nicene Council, or he orders it formed, either way, I don't care. And an accord was struck with over 300 Catholic bishops and one Roman emperor who was vying for power. So how does that group combat Jesus Christ and ensure that he never, ever has a voice again? They make him a god that no one can become or achieve. They erased his humanity and told people that all they had to do to reach heaven was to believe in Jesus. They gave people a hall pass and told them that if they believed, their sins would be forgiven, as if that has any physical manifestation on a person's vibration level. They destroyed all scripture and text relating to spirituality or the other immortals that are involved. Unfortunately for them, in 1948, those same texts began to reemerge and become unearthed, and all of Jesus Christ's teachings are now beginning to flood back out. And rumor has it that Yeshua and Sophia Christ have made a third appearance on earth right now.